Bro, it's no way y'all ain't seen this video yet.
The FDA issued an emergency use authorization for a new COVID vaccine to Pfizer and Moderna. Here is their release about it. I want to make sure that you have access to this data, and we're going to go over it together. Everything I'm going to show you is from their data. I am not extrapolating anything. Once we go through this, you're going to have the same question as me. Why? Why do we need a new COVID vaccine? Why is it considered an emergency? And I don't want to bury the lead. So again, why no clinical trials? None. Zero. That's right. You guessed it. There are no human clinical trials on this new COVID vaccine. So how did the FDA decide to authorize this? They used animal testing, but we don't even this time get to know how many animals. Recall that the second COVID vaccine was tested only on 9 mice. Well, this time we don't get the number. It just says animals. We're not sure which animals. We don't know how many animals. I was not able to find it, but again, I'm pointing you to all this original data, so if you find it, you let me know. Now, what both vaccine fact sheets say from Moderna and Pfizer is that they based their decision on clinical trials from the original COVID vaccine. Why? How can they do that, right? They're saying it's close enough. Similar recipe, grandma's recipe versus second generation recipe. Okay. Even though those trials never showed that those vaccines stopped COVID, they weren't tested for that. They only tested for symptoms, meaning did people sneeze and cough after getting the vaccines. They never tested if they lessened the severity of COVID, and they never tested whether they prevented death or hospitalization. They also showed high incidence of injury, but the FDA thinks those are hunky-dory and fine, and they can be applied to a new batch of COVID vaccines. That's what they're saying. Here's what we know about what they're calling non-clinical trials is that the non-clinical data reviewed on the Moderna vaccine was used with laboratory animals. We don't know which ones anymore. We don't get mice or pangolins or what have we used before? What was it? Monkeys or what have you. Yeah, so now they're just saying some laboratory animals elicited higher neutralizing antibodies compared to the previous formulation or other variants. Now, again, they're not saying they didn't contract COVID. They're not saying they had fewer symptoms. They're not saying anything about severity, just that they showed antibodies in their blood. That's what they think is fine. Here's what Pfizer says about their clinical trial. Again, non-clinical data demonstrating that Pfizer vaccine, when administered to vaccine-naive and vaccine-experimented laboratory animals, again, we don't know which kind, elicited higher neutralizing antibodies.